Hi, this is Brad from Pro Wrestling Junkies, and today's guest hails from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. She began wrestling in 2012 in Canada as well as the United States and works both female and intergender matches. She's wrestled for Prairie Wrestling Alliance, High Impact Wrestling, Real Canadian Wrestling, Canadian National Wrestling Alliance, Pure Power Wrestling, and many more. She's held the HIW Canadian Grand Championship, the PPW Cruiserweight Championship, as well as the RCW Women's Championship. She shared the ring with the likes of Sammy Hall, Giselle Shaw, Rhea Von Slasher, Tessa Blanchard, Bobby Sharp, Chris Parrish, Thunder Rosa, to name a few. In 2014, she was named to the PWI Top 50 Females list. To put that in perspective, I've never been added to the list, and that's prior to 2014. Anyways, let me introduce my guest, the person that I'm endorsing it to be the next president of the United States of America, Kat Von Heez. I take that back. That was for somebody else.
Oh,
I do welcome my guest.
Well, now I'm disappointed.
Again, we'll see where this goes. Who knows?
Right.
Would it make you more comfortable if I was wearing a mask or face covering? Or do you think that this distance is enough where we're playing it safe?
I think we're playing it safe. I think we're okay.
Okay,
yeah.
Let's get going then. So have you wrestled over the summer or since the end of March?
Yes, I wrestled a couple times. Like, I'm actually living in Edmonton, Alberta now.
Okay.
And I went back to Winnipeg a few times to work for CWE Wrestling, which is where I kind of started.
Okay.
And so I've had the opportunity to get in the ring probably like 4 times, I think, since the summer. So it hasn't been too frequent, but
are there like any precautions that are taken like that aren't during normal times? Like, do you guys have to take your temperature or take a COVID test or anything before you wrestle?
No, they just kind of like, they have a limit of like people that can be in the building. So that's including staff, and the wrestlers themselves. So we've had like to move the locker room somewhere else so that we're not really in the venue.
Oh, okay.
And we just kind of come out for our matches and then head back to the locker room after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
There really is no like meet and greet per se, except for like in a small town we had like kind of it where it was distanced, and all the tables that were moved per the bar's instructions. So there was X's and stuff. So everything was like, and we had the health inspector come out for both of them, and he was okay with everything.
Okay, that's fine. So let's go back in time. The day you were born, how was that? No, let's get past it. It was so hot out. So you grew up in Winnipeg?
Yes.
And is everybody a hockey? Does everybody play hockey?
No. I can't skate to save my life. I know, it's so un-Canadian of me.
Do you have siblings?
I have one sibling.
And does that person know how to skate?
She can, yes.
She can. Okay, go on. I try to see where the paths took off.
Yeah, we just went different directions. Yeah. No, I played field hockey, which is kind of like hockey, soccer, and golf mixed into one sport.
Yeah, very physical.
Yeah, so kind of hockey, but no, like I liked it, but it was never really like my favorite sport. So I mean, I feel so un-Canadian saying that, but I like the Jets, go home team. But other than that, I kind of gravitated towards like more intent, like physical sports in the sense like grappling and fighting, and like even football I liked a little bit more. So
okay. And were you like more of like a tomboy?
No, actually, like I've always been more, like it's funny, my dad really wanted to have sons, but he got 2 girls. So he kind of tried to like make us change motors with him and all that stuff. And we would rebel, and I did like it was in one ear, out the other. And, but I was always into wearing dresses, and I always got into mom's makeup bag and all that stuff. But, I guess I turned into a wrestler, so he got somewhat of what he wanted, a little bit. I wrestled the guys, so. Oh, okay. So it's very close.
Close. I mean, if you really want to do it, you just cut your hair real short and get him bad glasses.
I did that one time. My mom cut my hair when I was younger, and my dad. Oh, really? So upset. He was so upset.
My mom's like, "Here, let me cut your hair." I did your stepdad's. My stepdad has probably 3 or 4 hairs on his head. like,
Oh
Mom, it's a
God.
lot different, you know? And
Yeah,
he's not
yeah.
trying to impress anybody, you know, he's retired. So where along the way did you get hooked on wrestling?
I actually would go to like a babysitter's kind of like before and after school, and he was a big wrestling fan, so he would always have it on because my parents didn't have the channels to watch wrestling, so that was where I was first introduced to it. And his son was a big fan and stuff, so I kind of started watching it there, and I was really intrigued by it. And I think what really got me hooked was that was when China was on TV, and I just saw her being like different, you know, like standing out, and I was like, cool, like there's someone that like doesn't look like everyone else. And I started to like relate to her a lot, so I think that's where I really got hooked to it when I was a kid. But then because I stopped going there after being older, like being able to stay home, I couldn't really watch it for a few years. And that was like pre-internet, like data and all that stuff. That was like dial up, so there was no YouTube. So yeah, so I got back into it. I can't remember where it was, but I was watching like the Mick Foley Randy Orton feud way back, and I started watching that, and then I got hooked on Chris Jericho, and then that was the end of it, you know? So I fell in love.
And then when in your head you're just like, you know what? I'm going to pursue this.
Well, I think to be honest with you, I struggled a lot with confidence back then. I mean, I've always been like a broader woman. Like I've never been a petite girl. And so I struggled with a lot of like body image issues. So I always looked at like, oh, I can't do this. Like this isn't for me. Like I'll just appreciate it. And so when I was in grade 10, like I had tried out for so many sports teams, like volleyball, basketball. And I'm not naturally good at those. So I'd never made any teams. And then I saw like a wrestling poster for like an amateur wrestling team or club. And I was like, well, maybe I could do this, you know, like it feels like that would be more welcoming. So I showed up, and the coach kind of just took me under his wing. Like he saw that there was potential. And so he helped me lose like 85 pounds.
Was that like awful?
No, like actually I was probably I don't think I did it the best way. Like I tell people now to not do what I did. Because I didn't understand what I was doing. And it was good for weight cutting, you know, for like getting ready for a fight. But it's not something you should like keep doing continuously for months on end. Because that basically turned into an eating disorder essentially for me.
Were you sad during this whole time as far as like not being able to eat like the foods you like? And
no, because I think I was so sick of being the person I was, like where I was held back by something that I like that for once I was able to do what I wanted to do. So I you know, I competed in wrestling, and then all of a sudden I played I made the guys football team briefly. Like I tried out and I felt accepted by them, and then I got injured, so I couldn't really play.
Did you ever get a chance to hit someone on the field?
In scrimmages, yes.
Nice.
They also destroyed me as well, but it was fun. It prepared me for wrestling.
Absolutely.
For sure. But then I was like, I wasn't now like trying out for teams as much. I was getting picked for teams. Like people were like seeking me out. Like I was at track practice, and I was always good at shot put and discus. And this guy's like, oh, you're on my team. And I was like, what are you coaching track? And he's like, no, you're on my dragon boat team. And I was like, I don't remember signing up for this. He's like, no, like the girls nominated you because we needed one more girl, and I just put you on the team. And I was like, all right, sure. So like it was nice to finally be like sought after, as opposed to like trying so hard to be accepted, and like just being given the chance to do something if someone gave me the tools. That like I think what I was doing, like you know, not eating the foods that I like, and probably not eating enough at all, didn't seem like a problem, because my brain was like, no, this is way better. Like I like this person. It wasn't until like I lost a lot more, and like the doctors are like, hey, like you now are looking sickly. Like how did you do this? And then that's when they're like, hey, like they diagnosed me with type 2 bulimia, essentially. So it's over exercising for under eating. So because I was getting up and I was doing cardio for an hour in the morning. I would do cardio or weights at lunch if I didn't have choir. And then I would play 2 sports, practices back to back after school. If not, I would do 1 sport and the gym every day. So I was doing 6 to 10 hours of workouts every day.
How did you feel inside, like, during this time? It must have been kind of crazy.
Yeah, like it like at first I get like super happy, like I felt like I was becoming a new person. But then you realize, like, crap, like I'm now going down a different path that's also negative. So you struggle with, like, okay, well, what's the right way? Like, when I was big, people didn't accept me, but when I was like this, people are like, oh, you're sick. And so you just struggle constantly with like trying to find that right path. And so I think now that I work in like the health industry, you know, I try to tell people, like, you're always going to have your ups and downs, and life comes at you, and sometimes you're not perfect, but the best thing you can do is try to be the best version of yourself, and don't beat yourself up when you're having a hard time, because it happens to everybody. So I like being able to share, like, hey, I made this mistake, don't do this, because you pay for it later. Like, I like being able to share that story to my clients. So
it's a way of giving back, you know, to life.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. How did you hook up with a trainer and start training to be a pro wrestler?
So back in the days of MySpace,
yeah, totally.
Aging myself, I started like talking to people, and I saw like some wrestlers online. So I started like adding them and kind of like chatting on MySpace. And I met Danny Duggan out of CWE in Winnipeg, and John Cutler at the time was still wrestling.
Okay.
And so I talked to them, and then one day I just ran into them at the Y. So we kind of became good like acquaintances, friends at the time. And years later, Danny started his own company. So I kind of would always go to the shows with my sister, and I would always go to the after parties and hang out with everybody. So a lot of the guys became like good friends of mine, or like close.
How old are you at this point?
20, like 19, 20, I suppose.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I think I just was like, hey, like, what do I need to do to like start doing this? And there really was no schools in Winnipeg at the time. So I, at one point, was looking to go to Ontario, and Johnny Devine was actually running that school at the time.
Okay.
I think I sent an email, and I don't know if I heard back, or like it was like I didn't have the answer that they wanted or something like that. I just didn't really pursue that. And then there was like Lance's camp, but I looked at the prices, and I was like, I'm, you know, 19 years old, like moved out on my own. I don't have $4,000 right now in my bank account. So I just kept in touch with the guys, and the guys were like, hey, like, we're starting up a school, and Mentolo is going to be the head trainer. So I waited that out. We started in June of 2011. I had already had like a quick stint as a ref for them, and I had wrestled one match, kind of more shoot, I suppose, because I had my shoot background. Okay. And I started training in June, and then the school unfortunately had to close down in December.
What did you do to make it close down?
I don't know. I broke everything. I turned into She-Hulk and just destroyed everything. Happens at work all the time. I always feel like I'm going to get in trouble for breaking everything. But no, it closed down, and then I was offered a spot on the Tony Condello Death Tour.
Oh, wow.
And so I talked to Mentolo. I said, hey, like, I think this is the best way to kind of like just keep fresh, because until we find a new spot for the school and stuff. And yeah, like, you're like, I'll never forget it. It was like, we went out, and I was like, I just knew that usually when you're newer, or when you're earlier in the card, they kind of give you like 5-8 minutes, right? Like a time limit. Like they don't like you to go forever. And so I just was like, hey, like, what do you want from me, like in terms of timing? And I was just trying to be super professional. And he's like, oh, 20 minutes. And then he just walked away.
20 minutes? Jeez.
I know. I was just like, I don't know what to do. Like, like started having like a anxiety attack. Cause it's like my first, like, I'd say show as a trained wrestler. And like, I would say trained in such a like a loose term, because I feel like I still everybody always needs training, but like needed a lot more training at that point. It was Bambi Hall was my opponent, and she was still, I think, only 3 or 8 months in, somewhere in that range. So it wasn't like I was working
with a ring veteran.
Right. So we were both like 20 minutes, like freaking out, like, oh my God. So, and then I think we were second or third match, and first match comes back and they're like, post broke, don't use the ropes.
Oh my God.
And I was like, so we had to have a 20-minute-ish match using no ropes for my first show.
Does somebody have this on video?
No, actually someone did. And when I asked them for it, I guess their computer had crashed and they lost everything.
Oh my God. So that was your first match?
That was my first like official like match after. Yeah. So February 8th, 2012 was in, I want to say Cold Lake, Manitoba.
And were you, so like on the morning of your first show, you know, as a trained professional wrestler, when you wake up in the morning, are you thinking about the match right away?
In some ways, but we actually had to do a 10.5-hour drive to get there.
Oh, so you had plenty of time to think about it.
So we had plenty of time, but then we had to like set up, and like you put up the merch tables, you put up the ring, you set up the chairs, and then it's like you basically it's showtime.
Mm-hmm.
And then like you've got the adrenaline, and like my friend whom I met when I was in a band program, he was also a huge wrestling fan, but he followed the music avenue as opposed to the wrestling avenue. Mm-hmm. So he was just producing music at the time, like just getting started with those systems.
Sure.
So he made me entrance music. So
cool.
I was super pumped. I had the CD. I was like, yes, I'm going to have my first match with my first, like a new song. And I was wearing a Jushin Liger inspired outfit.
Cool.
And I'm waiting for my music to play and like nothing. So I'm getting really anxious. I'm like, where's my music? Like, I'm just like freaking out. I'm getting more and more anxious. And I'm like, you know what? If it doesn't play in 5 seconds, I'm just going. And like, as soon as I stepped through the curtain, like someone played All Shook Up by Elvis. And I was like, I kind of look like a red Power Ranger coming out to Elvis.
Oh my God.
Perfect.
Well, it makes for a great story at the very least. Perfect. Did you have like a walk all set up for your new entrance music?
No, I think I had like a bit of like a jump thing kind of going because it was like metal-esque.
Okay.
But no, I don't think I really had time to prepare because I got it so close to the tour. Mm-hmm. Because I was asked to go, I want to say like second week of January, and it was 2.5 weeks long, and we had to leave like the beginning of February.
Okay.
So I had like 2-3 weeks to like get gear, get boots, get like packed, get enough food for the road, like and then like just mentally prepare, and then like, you know, figure out the gym stuff. I brought all my workout equipment with me. Like I was, it was crazy. I was just so anxious.
How old were you when you like went on the road?
I guess so that was 2012. So that was like 8. I would have been 21, I suppose.
Were you going out with other female wrestlers like on the road, or like male wrestlers? And were your parents nervous sending you out?
It was just Bambi, and then the rest of it were guys.
Okay. And your parents weren't nervous about a young girl out on the road?
I think my dad would very much say like they should be scared of me.
Oh, okay. Perfect.
I think, yeah, my dad was never really worried.
That says a lot.
That. Yeah.
Okay, so at what point did you get into like intergender matches?
I would say like after CNWA, like I mean like before it, I guess, because like, you know, whenever CNWA wasn't running, and I was doing like spot shows elsewhere, or if I would go back to Winnipeg, there wasn't really any girls, so I would work guys. But then once CNWA kind of folded, and we weren't getting the same type of talent shift from BC and Saskatchewan and stuff, there really was no women. So I was just put in that situation of working guys. So at first I played it like, you know, I treated it differently because it should be. It is, it's not the same type of psychology as a regular.
And you have to change your style?
Yeah, like not so much my style. Like I think like the aggression I have still is there, but like in terms of like, you know, if you get punched by a guy in the face, it's different than if a girl punched you in the face, right? I treat it or so I treat it differently. I guess it depends on the guy.
Yeah, totally.
Because I've been hit by some girls that I would, arguably harder than guys. But yeah, it became really frequent. So to one year where there was like, I'd say 75% of my matches were with men. And it was like that for a couple years. And then there was a wave of new girls. But even then it came to a point where like they would either like move away or they wouldn't stick it out. So then I would go back to wrestling guys. So I kind of just built up a reputation, especially in Western Canada, where like when I walk out and there's a guy, like people don't question it, I suppose. They don't treat it like, oh, she's just a girl wrestling a guy. It's like, oh, it's Pat wrestling this guy.
Like there's a competition.
Yeah, like they're like it's evenly matched. Like I mean, I was training in Can-Am with Scott Demore and Johnny Devine in 2016, and they we had practice matches, and they were like, we want you to wrestle Moose.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, as a heel. So I was like, oh my God. So like, it was, that for me was a challenge. Cause I mean, yes, like if I came out in a show wrestling a guy like him, it would be like, again, a small girl coming out for the first time wrestling a regular guy.
Yeah. Like, it's so like almost gimmicky.
Yeah. So like I had to really think outside the box. For like me and him, and both like this was a first situation for both of us, because even when I'm working with the guys, they're like, there's some that were bigger than me, but like not that.
Like there wasn't that big of a discrepancy in size.
Yeah, no, and it was so much fun. Like I had a great time wrestling him, and it was the story we told was really cool. I was really proud of it. So yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. You're basically wrestling like a giant,
Yeah, essentially.
Someone from Middle Earth.
Girls feel like me, like when they wrestle me. Like I guess when, like small, tiny little girls come up to me, they're like, now I guess I'm like, I feel like I understand how they feel now.
Yeah, it puts you in perspective.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, I get it now. Okay.
I have a question for you. Yeah. Do wrestlers or you yourself get jealous of other wrestlers? Who might also be like your friends?
I suppose, yeah, you do see it. I think like you have to have a bit of an ego in any sport. So like part of it is like, at first you might either be like jealous or whatever, but it's not really like jealous. It's like, for me, like take Giselle Shaw, for example. Like am I envious of how she's been able to just like, she just like picks up her life and goes. And she's that type of person where like she sees something, she wants it, she goes, and she's a big risk taker, which is something that you need. And I now realizing I know myself a little bit more, I'm not as big of a risk taker, like I don't just like, I don't like put all my eggs in the basket, which is good in some cases, but like sometimes for wrestling, you need to do that. And, like, I'm not jealous of her. I'm so happy for her. And I'm so proud of everything that like she's accomplished. So I think there's a moment where like, yeah, you're like, wow, I wish I could do that too. And it might kind of come across as jealousy, but then you like, most of us kind of realize like we're happy for our peers that that get those opportunities. But I would say like, I've seen it. Like I've seen people kind of like have almost like passive aggressive rivalries over people's successes. And it doesn't, the way I look at it is like, no matter how jealous you are about their situation, it isn't going to change your situation unless you do something, So there's no point in being jealous and upset about it unless you're willing to do exactly what they did to get there. Yeah,
it's the amount of work you put in.
Yeah. Or like right place, right time, that always has a factor in.
Or someone who knows someone.
Yeah, exactly. But that's every industry as a whole.
Yeah, like, exactly. That's life.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, I'm going to let you go in 2 minutes. I'm going to first ask you 5 random non-wrestling related questions. They're just yes or no. You can say yes or no. You can elaborate, whatever. Are you ready? Okay.
Yes.
Do you have a favorite body part?
Yes.
Okay. Have you ever had ice cream for breakfast?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. For $1,700, would you eat a spoonful of sand?
No.
Okay. Have you ever given a police officer the middle finger?
No.
And have you ever driven a car into a lake?
No.
Okay. All right. You passed. I'll take all the official documents and get those sent in. But you're golden. When and where are you going to be appearing next?
Awesome.
Besides your job on Monday.
As of right now, I'm scheduled to wrestle in St. Albert, Alberta, which is just outside of Edmonton, for CWE Wrestling on October 24th.
Okay, so you got some time.
Yeah.
Oh, can I ask you one last question? I'm sorry.
Yes.
What's your most expensive piece of ring gear?
My one outfit was like $550, my jacket, and then my one-piece suit. Yeah.
And do you get to design it? Like you kind of sketch out and then someone runs with that?
Yeah, I haven't had very much luck with gear makers in the past. So this one was I'd say the suit I didn't really care for. It didn't come out how I expected.
Okay.
But the jacket is something that I still use to this day. But I have a new gear maker. So with this one, I've kind of given her a concept and she sketches it. And then we kind of just go back and forth.
Is it awesome the day it shows up and you get to try it on?
Yeah, unfortunately, the last couple times that's happened, I've been very disappointed. And so I've actually had backup gear.
So it's not like you can return the stuff you don't like, right?
No, I've had the last time I had a suit made, it had tassels in places it should not have tassels.
Okay.
I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah, I think I'm not going to let my imagination go too far, but I think I have an idea.
Yeah, and I just got it and I was like, what? It was a one-piece pantsuit, and I kind of wanted something somewhat like what Natalia and Beth Phoenix wears, kind of that style. And it was long sleeve, long legs, there was no mesh, nothing appealing about it at all. It was not even a shiny metallic-y black. It was just black with a random blue patch around the stomach and then tassels in said spot.
Yeah.
And I put it on, it was misshapen, it was big in the knees, and I was I cannot go out in this show wearing this. I can't do this.
Do you feel if you don't go out in it, the designer is going to get offended?
Yeah, well, I called her. I said, girl, this is not what I asked for and not what I paid for. So she actually remade it and it was better, but she made it with sweater material. I don't really know. It was so off, and I just kind of gave up at that point. I was I'll wear this from occasion or use pieces of it, but I think I finally found someone that because she's also a wrestler, so she wears gear.
Oh, okay.
So she understands it needs to be able to move, it needs to be able to catch your attention from a distance, that kind of thing. So she's also done gear for a lot of the people that I've worked with and a lot of people in the area. So I've seen her work and I'm okay, so I trust
yes, you're
her
comfortable with that.
Yes.
All right. Well, I suppose I have to go attend to my children now. We didn't make any type of verbal contract of you taking over their...
no, sorry, you're stuck with them.
But I would like to talk to you again sometime, and maybe we'll explore that a little further. Just keep in mind, 2 brown-haired kids, they don't eat much.
Okay.
Just keep it in mind. We'll talk
I'll see if I can make room.
Yeah, so let's talk again after your match at the end of October.
Okay, that sounds good.
All right, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. You have a great night, and be safe and healthy, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you. You too.
All right, thanks.
Thanks. Bye-bye.